All right. Well, everyone, thank you very much for joining us today to speak about developer support and impact. My name is Ben Tietze, and I'm a product manager in the Impact BU. I'm joined by two ServiceNow experts in Amy Johanning and Nina Narayanan. And would you both mind giving a quick introduction of yourselves and your roles as well?
Hey everyone, my name is Nina Narayanan. I am a director with customer service and support. I've been with ServiceNow for over 9 years, and I'm here to help you today.
Amy, I think you're on mute.
Thank you. My name is Amy Johanning. I am a service owner and portfolio manager for Impact Support Services. I've been here for 12 and a half years, and I too am here to talk to you all about developer support.
Fantastic. Thank you both. So why are we here today? Obviously, we're here to talk about developer support. Developer support is an incredibly valuable and powerful feature of Impact. Some of the use cases for why a customer would use developer support is that it will allow the customer to interact with ServiceNow experts to review customizations the customer has in place. This is a super premium support feature, and it's restricted to advanced and total impact. So let's jump in to our agenda. First, we're going to cover what is developer support. Second, we're going to cover the scope of what developer support covers. Third, we're going to discuss how you can best engage developer support. Fourth, we're going to talk to a customer that has used developer support extensively. And five, we're going to end with some Q&A. So let's jump in. Amy, can you kick us off to what is developer support?
I'd be happy to, if you would just, thank you. So Impact, as Ben had mentioned, developer support is available to customers that have purchased the Impact Advanced and Total entitlement. Keep going, please. Thank you. This service is to help you it is to help you troubleshoot customizations that have been working on the platform and then for whatever reason have stopped working. We want to make sure that the customizations that you do perform on the platform continue to work properly and that your instance remains stable and performant. So that is what developer support is in a nutshell. Now Nina is going to talk through the scope.
Thank you, Amy. Let me walk you through the scope of developer support. Like Amy said, the developer support program is designed to provide valuable assistance in troubleshooting customizations. We can help you identify and resolve issues like script errors, configuration conflicts, or any unexpected behavior that you would see in custom code after an upgrade. Our developer support team can guide you with the best practices for the platform. Like a good example would be, how do I use this API correctly to get these results? We can also provide access to some pre-approved and certified scripts or code snippets that can be used to solve some specific problems that you may be running into, like searching for a sysid that conflicts with some piece of your custom code. Or if you have a date time widget on a form and it's throwing an error, we can help with a code snippet that can be used to check if the data is in future or not. However, it is important to note that developer support does not include services like code development or implementation assistance. So we don't write custom code and cannot help with building custom applications for you. Similarly, this is not a code review service, neither is it a testing service. So our focus here is to help you troubleshoot your existing customization on the ServiceNow platform. Also, developer support does not cover third-party applications. Again, our primary scope is to assist with ServiceNow platform itself and its native functionalities. So if you have specific issues or questions related to third-party applications, you may need to reach out to the respective vendors or their support team or their documentation. So with that, if you can just go to the next slide, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're wondering what to expect, all developer support cases are created as P3 cases. What that means is that it will default to a P3 response and a response as well as a relief SLA. But you still have the ability to escalate it if there's a business reason, or if you just would like management oversight or visibility. Now, ServiceNow is committed to providing, if you just go back, ServiceNow is committed to providing the best possible assistance to address your customization issue. But there are certain scenarios, especially with intricate issues, sometimes SAMs may recommend a professional services engagement for faster resolution, and it's entirely based on the complexity of the code that we are dealing with. Next slide, Ben. So to help us help you better, we request that you please provide us with designated contacts who are proficient with the platform. We expect that the contacts know the infrastructure on your side, as well as someone who is knowledgeable about the customizations that exist on your instance. We will need you to provide us with a sub-production instance so that we can actively troubleshoot on it, because we will be making changes on the instance. So we don't want to touch your production by any means. We also ask that you narrow down the issue to around 200 lines of code or fewer. And more importantly, that it is adequately commented so that we know what your customization is actually doing. Also, we will expect the designated contacts to advise on any infrastructure issues, if any, that may impact the customization that we are actually troubleshooting at hand. Next slide, please. Okay, so now that we've covered the scope, the expectation, and how we can effectively work together, I wanted to talk through an example of a recent developer support case at a very high level. So we had a designated developer support contact request troubleshooting assistance on a REST outbound endpoint that was failing. Now, this contact had reviewed their implementation and actually narrowed the issue to the endpoint actually failing only when it was used in the flow action step. So he tested, and it worked fine when they tested it through the REST outbound message as well as through Postman. But it returned a bad request when it was used in a flow action. So when they narrowed down the issue for us, we were able to troubleshoot swiftly on their sub-production instance. We tried adding authorization headers. We tried it with mid-server. We tried it without mid-server. Then we reviewed to check licensing and security restrictions. We then identified the problem as a parameter in the request payload that was not encoded correctly. So this is a classic example of how we can work together to help you troubleshoot customization issues. I hope that helped. I hope this helps, this use case. Over to you, Amy.
Yeah. Okay, so how do I actually submit a developer support case and ensure that it gets to the right person? Well, first of all, log into Now Support and hit the Create a Case button. Oh, I guess I had this first. Thank you. So let's go through this. Named contacts can open a developer support case. You have 5 seats if you have an advanced package, and you have 10 total, or 10 seats if you have a total package. Support is available in English, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and those hours are aligned to your time zone. Now let's decide, or let's go through how do we open a case. Log in to Now Support. Click the button that says Create a Case, and at the bottom, if you have access to developer support, if you have your named contact, and you have purchased Impact Advanced or Total, you can hit the I need developer support. It's at the bottom and it says premium at the top so that you know it's only for you. Once you hit that button, you're going to see a box pop up that will provide you with some guidelines and some instructions for what we need to see or what we would like to see in the case notes. Read the guidelines to make sure that what you have is covered by dev support and that you are providing us the right level of detail so that we can help you troubleshoot. Finally, you will just fill out the form, provide us with the steps to reproduce, the 200 lines of code, et cetera, and hit submit. Once you hit submit, you'll get a case number that you can then use in order to search for updates. But developer support cases are also listed in your My Cases. You should be able to see them there as well. And with that, I think we'll turn that back over to you, Ben.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Amy and Nina. What we'd love to talk about next is a customer testimony, and we'd like to take Dropbox. Dropbox has done an excellent job of integrating developer support into their product design, coding, and release process. And so we've spoken with Priyanka at Dropbox. She is a ServiceNow admin, and Dropbox has released, or they're working on many products from ServiceNow: HR, custom scoped apps, ITSM, legal, SPM. And so what we'd like to do is to share with everyone the conversation that we had with Dropbox. All right, we're here today to discuss developer support best practices, and we're meeting with Priyanka, who works at Dropbox, and Dropbox has been very effective at incorporating developer support into their processes. And so, Priyanka, would you like to give a quick introduction to yourself, and then we can jump in with a few questions?
Yeah, sure. I'm Priyanka Chintala. I'm from ServiceNow team at Dropbox. I've been with Dropbox almost 1.5 years. So we support various modules in ServiceNow. Recently, we are going live with PSM. I'm based out of Pennsylvania. So yeah, we support various modules like HR, VRM, we have some custom scoped apps, we have ITSM modules, we have legal is going to be onboarded, and we have SPM. So yeah, we are in the process of establishing our CMDB, mature our CMDB process. So yeah, that's all about me.
That's great. Thank you. So why don't we start? How has developer support helped with Dropbox's development process, overall productivity, or tech debt?
So I'm reaching out to developer support whenever we are having some issues with the customization or where we need some help, extra help from ServiceNow. So recently we encountered an issue with where we have an integration with other AI bot called Max. So we ran into an issue of transferring to a live agent. Basically, we turned off the virtual agent of ServiceNow and we are using Max bot, which is integrated with Slack. And when we went live when we are trying to go live with PSM, we were trying to do a live agent transfer. That time we bumped into an issue. The live agent transfer did not happen and it was a blocker for us. So at that point of time, we do know that ServiceNow regular support will not help us with the customizations, but we reached out to developer support. But they turned around within 1 day and they were able to fix the issue and it solved our problem. And that's just an example of the use case, how we are utilizing the developer support. But definitely the team is very helpful whenever we ran into some issues with the customization. So they are spending time and just getting back to us, and it is helping us to unblock ourselves and just move forward with our customizations or with our issues.
That's great to hear. And I think that's a really helpful use case. What are some other use cases where you've used developer support and you've found it to be a really good fit?
Some other use cases on the workspace side of it, we have some of the configurable workspaces. There, obviously, we just configure those workspaces for our custom scoped apps. We bumped into multiple issues with the workspace. Those are pretty much out of the box issues, but I think there are associated problem tickets, but team digged into it and they found out that there are the problem tickets which already associated with these cases which we have raised. So at least they gave the problem ticket and they just let us know that like in which version those problems tickets is going to be addressed. So those are the couple of the use cases which I can think of. And then, yeah, apart from the workspace, there were another scenarios as well on the HR when we were going live with the MaxBot. We wanted to update one of the scripting code which is coming out of the box. So at that point also team raised a developer support to utilize and just to understand the more in depth, like how it is going to affect if we are going to touch the out of the box functionality. Those are a couple of use cases, but yeah.
That's great. So it sounds like it tends to be around a major go live event, and you're looking at some of the custom scripts that are created and trying to make sure that they will still work in the new when the go live happens.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thanks. So another question I would have is, it seems like Dropbox has done a good job of integrating developer support into a part of the product development and release process. And so my question would be, what are some steps that you've taken to make everybody aware of developer support so that it can be such a prominent element?
I always tend to reach for developer support because I do know that they're prompt in response, and of course Sridhar is helping us to follow up like if there are any delays or something. So I always tell our team to just use developer support if it is a critical issue which we were running on or spending so much time to debug, because we have additional support from ServiceNow to leverage it and just use it. That is the mode of communication, or that's how we are using the developer support on our end among ourselves within the team.
That's great. Thank you. My next question would be, in your experience, is it easy to submit a developer support request?
Yeah, it is straightforward, like how you use the high portal the same way, just that instead of a regular case, you just have to select the developer support and just submit it. So yeah, it is pretty straightforward.
Great. Is it easy? Have you had any challenges with tracking the status of open developer support tickets?
Not really. Like it is like similar to the other case, right, as I mentioned. So it was easy, and I know that the dedicated team is assigned to it. Because how do I know? Because most of our cases goes to the same team, so I don't know that they're responding. So yeah, it's easy to track, and I don't see any difficulty over there.
That's great. Thank you. So I have only a couple questions left. So the next one would be, have you observed any measurable improvements in code stability or performance as a result of using developer support?
I don't think so. We raised any cases as such to improve our performance or anything, but whenever we are running into these roadblockers or the issues where we are in the crunch of time, that's where like I think we've used developer support. Probably I think we should start exploring that side of it, and just to reduce our tech debt or any understanding more best practices from developer support, I think we should explore it. But till now, these are the areas we have used, and I think we should just go a little further and utilize developer support to reduce our tech debts, I think. So whenever we have some questions or like a decision making to reduce the tech debt, so that point of time, I think we should leverage it and just explore on that side of it.
Great. And then lastly, are there any specific tips or best practices that you would recommend to customers so that they can maximize the benefits of developer support?
I think in my experience, like as I mentioned, like since I know that there is a dedicated team and they are helping us, so I think before going to the regular support, we should just go to the developer support and get the help. Because if you raise a normal ticket, obviously it goes to a different queue and you have to wait for the engineer. Whereas in the developer support, there is a dedicated team assigned to our account, so obviously they'll be on top of it, and it reduces our time, or we can find the solutions better way, I think. So that's the approach I would say to others. Maybe this is our approach. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. Priyanka, thank you so much for joining us. And we're really excited to see all the success that Dropbox has been having with impact and developer support more broadly. And we're excited about the things to come.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you again.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
All right. So we've been a lot of places in the last 25 minutes. We've looked at what is developer support. We've looked at what's the scope, how to engage developer support. And I think it'd be great to open up the floor to Q&A. And so are there any questions that people have top of mind around how to take advantage of developer support? It can be anything at all. And I'm happy to kick it off. So one of the things that we hear every once in a while is, why are we limited to 200 lines of code? And so Amy, Nina, would one of you be able to respond to why we have that limitation in place? Sorry, Amy, I think you're on mute.
You're on mute.
Still on mute. Sorry. I was going to say yes, I'd be happy to. So what we're expecting is that A, your code has worked at some point in the past, and B, that you are familiar with what your code is meant to do. Even the comments obviously help, but we want to interact with someone who really understands what the code is meant to do and can read it. So 200 lines of code is meant to compartmentalize and segment a section of the code, the custom code, so that it can be narrowed down on your side in order to, get it down to a place where that, hey, it worked all the way through these lines, all the way through these sections. Here's where it's failing. And that will allow us to target and clarify exactly where something might be broken or not working correctly. So that's kind of why we do the 200 lines of code. We don't actually, count them to make sure that they fall within any sort of parameters, but it's simply meant to get us to the actual area of the custom code so that we can focus directly in the place that that it's failing. Nina,
Yeah,
anything to add?
You pretty much covered it all. It just helps us get resolution for you as quickly as possible. And that's where we got that 200 lines of code, approximate 200 lines of code that we ask for.
That's fantastic. Thank you both for that context. I'll offer another question. One thing that we hear from time to time is, why is developer support limited to a P3 designation?
I can help you with that, Ben. So developer support, when it is created, it gets defaulted to a P3. And the reason behind it is because we are going to review customization, right? And we have to take the time to understand so that we can give you accurate responses and the relief is as quick as possible. So I do understand in some scenarios, there's going to be things that become business critical out of nowhere, right? So we understand that. And for such scenarios, we have the option to escalate those cases. When you escalate, we will make sure that we continue to give our best effort and we work 24/7 to help you achieve what you're looking for. So there is an option, but it is defaulted to P3 just because we need the time to understand the customization that we are looking at. I hope
that's fantastic. Thanks, Nina. Are there any other questions? And that's okay if there's not. I know that there's been a lot of information, and so I'm sure that people are digesting. All right, well, then thank you everyone for joining. This has been very productive, and I think it's been helpful to walk everybody through developer support and to have experts like Amy and Nina join us for that journey. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.